At its peak of glory, the Roman Empire stretched from Western Europe to the Middle East. It was unstoppable, invincible even. It was the greatest civilization the world had ever seen. Then, in 476 CE, it was over just like that. But here's the question nobody asks. How does the most powerful empire on Earth simply collapse? Was it destiny, or could it have been different? The play is over. Those were the infamous words of Augustus, Rome's first emperor. He said them when he finally brought peace, but he didn't know the play had only just begun. During Rome's golden age, known as Pax Romana, or Roman peace, the empire experienced something truly extraordinary. From 27 BCE until 180 CE, under Emperor Augustus and his successors, the Roman Empire consolidated its power and solved internal and external conflicts. It was a period of stability that seemed unshakable. But Pax Romana didn't mean there was no war. On the contrary, the Roman Empire conquered vast territories and peoples during this period. The conquered peoples of Europe, Africa, and Asia, primarily the elites, began adopting the Latin language and embracing the Roman culture. Everything for the Roman Empire was great. The system worked seamlessly, the wealth flowed, and the power seemed eternal. But then, boom, the fall of Rome happened. And to understand why, we first have to look at how power corrupts from within. At its peak of glory, the Roman Empire had become enormous. It became a nightmare to govern. In 285 CE, Emperor Diocletian made a decision that would reshape everything. He divided the empire in two. The Eastern and Western Roman empires were created. The capital of the Eastern Empire, Constantinople, a city with many names. In ancient Greece, it was called Byzantium. In the Roman Empire, Constantinople. But nowadays, we know it as Istanbul. But splitting the empire didn't solve the problem. It actually made it worse. Tensions simmered between the two halves as they pursued conflicting interests. They clashed over resources, money, and military forces. Because of varying circumstances and factors, the Eastern Empire flourished, while the West drowned in civil instability and economic crisis. The bigger the empire became, the more assets it needed, more money, more labor forces, more everything. Conquered territories initially supplied these needs, but this system couldn't last forever. The state was flooded with too many enslaved and unemployed people, leading to increased demand for public aid. The empire tried to feed its people with bread and games, panem et circenses, but it just wasn't enough. And then there's what the Romans themselves understood. The fish stinks from the head. The emperors and political elites were a significant source of instability. Emperor Honorius, ruling from 384 to 423 CE, showed more concern for his beloved chicken, aptly named Rome, than for his imperial duties. Even emperors became unpopular among their closest political associates. During the last century of the Western Roman Empire, dozens of emperors were assassinated, often by their own guards. Being a Roman emperor became a very dangerous job. Power had rotted everything from the inside. While the empire crumbled internally, external pressure was equally building. From the north came the tribes of Goths and Vandals. Rome had to deal with their attacks from the 3rd to the 5th century CE. But with political instability and corruption, Rome's military power diminished. Technological advancement slowed, and the legions that once conquered the world grew weaker. The barbarian tribes of Goths and Vandals from the north, and later the Huns, repeatedly wreaked havoc and plundered Rome, the symbol and heart of the Roman Empire. Rome itself fell to invaders, and that's when the unthinkable had happened. In 476 CE, the barbarian leader, Odoacer, forced the Western Roman Emperor, Romulus Augustulus, to resign. Just like that, the glorious Western Roman Empire was over. But what rose from its ashes were powerful new kingdoms: the Germanic tribes, the Franks in modern-day France and Germany, the Vandals in North Africa, the Ostrogoths in Italy, and the Visigoths in Spain, established their own powerful states. Here's the thing nobody expected. The Roman Empire didn't disappear, not completely. The Eastern Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire, survived. It flourished. It lasted for nearly 1,000 more years, until its fall in 1453. The rich history of the Roman Empire is still preserved in its marvelous buildings and artworks. Stone monuments still stand. We can walk where emperors once walked. We can see the scale of their ambition carved into marble. But here's the tragic part. Humankind hasn't learned the lessons from the historical downfall of empires. The idea of unlimited power, unchecked corruption, and the exploitation of the masses still finds sympathizers. The play is over, Augustus said, but every play ends the same way if we refuse to learn from it.